I think the technology is always evolving a little bit. So some of the things that were very tricky last time, we now know how to do. I say we, I have literally no idea how the magicians at Framestore make the bear do what he does, but sort of some things that were very challenging last time, like making him wet or feel believably like he's, integrated with water, they have now got very sort of confident with. And so there are a few sequences that we were able to do that perhaps we weren't able to do so easily last time. But that said, the attempt has been to keep the same bear and the same feeling bear, and keep Paddington as we've sort of come to love him, because we felt that the character was so beautiful last time, and the design of the bear sat so beautifully with Ben's voice that it was really sort of hopefully more of the same, but it's sort of one step further. And as a writer especially, but the director as well, it's lovely to be able to take the characters on the next step of their journey, and that felt really good. And there's a sort of lovely feeling on set as well, because you know these people quite well, and it's nice to see them again, especially Sam and Maddie, who are of course a couple of years older, and it's lovely to see them growing up and be able to sort of see how they've changed across the film. Especially Sam, who's about 3 feet taller, it feels, but probably only about 6 inches really. Hugh is a brilliant comic performer who not only manages to sell every joke exquisitely, but also brings a real heart and humanity to the performance. And I think what's lovely about the way he plays Henry is he's able to take the character to these really extreme situations. He sort of ends up straddling two trains, and yet you always believe his character completely. It's great fun with Henry because he's such a sort of nervous, sort of slightly uptight character. It's great fun to put him in these ridiculous situations where he's going to have to maintain his sort of English dignity and his sort of Lord Grantham qualities in a really preposterous situation. So that's great fun, and it's lovely working with him on those things. He's such a precise performer, and he's able to find the perfect eyebrow lift at the perfect time to sell every joke. Sally brings tremendous warmth to the character. I think she's brilliantly funny in all sorts of situations, and does these wonderful little reactions, things I'd never write, just like a little awkward laugh in the break-in where I always just go, oh, every moment you want in the edit that you suddenly go, oh, I wish you'd done something like that. And she's done it. She's so far ahead. She's so smart, but she also manages to bring huge amounts of heart and warmth to the role. And you really believe, I feel, her relationship with Paddington, that she sort of adopted this bear and loves him as much as her own children. Initially, I was quite nervous about giving the part to Hugh Grant. He's not somebody I knew at all. I hugely admired him for years, and we did have him in mind from day one of writing the script. The character was actually called Hugh for a while. We really sort of had his voice and his sort of persona in mind when we were writing it. But the character is an actor who's slightly over the hill, and he's not in the first bloom of youth anymore, and his glory days are slightly behind him. And while we thought that Hugh Grant would be a terrific performer for this, we didn't want it to look like that's what we thought of him, because of course he's brilliant and being nominated for awards around the world and winning lots of prizes, and he's still brilliant. So I was slightly nervous about whether he would take it as a personal insult, but Hugh is fortunately the most good-natured, well-humoured person I've probably ever met in my life. Nobody takes themselves less seriously than Hugh Grant, so I think he saw it as a complete hoot to play this and threw himself in with great abandon. And although Hugh is he's very funny and he's completely unpompous and unpretentious, he's worked with so many people over the years. He was a mine of information for the character, and various absurd people that he's worked with, or he was in plays with, or he's been directed by. And so we had great fun hearing all his anecdotes about preposterous people in show business and putting all their worst excesses into this character of Phoenix Buchanan, who dresses as ridiculously as he acts. In terms of the set pieces, there are two scenes that I'm really looking forward to people seeing. Probably the first is when Paddington meets Knuckles in the canteen, which I think is my favourite scene in the film. It's my favourite funny scene in the film, certainly. And Brendan's performance is just perfect. It's very funny and it's very silly, and it's very the way that Paddington naively gets himself into trouble, and that Brendan's character Knuckles toys with him is really perfect, and it was something I'm very pleased with how it turned out. And the other is a set piece later in the film, which is where the Browns break into Phoenix Buchanan's house to try and find evidence to clear Paddington's name. And there's a ridiculous kind of farce as Henry and Mary turn up and Phoenix is coming back, and it's a very sort of intricate set piece. But it feels very funny, and it culminates in this great confrontation between the two Hughs, between Henry Brown and Phoenix Buchanan, and the way they play off each other and the way Sally reacts to them is just divine. I think they're brilliant performances.
I'm innocent.
He's a master of disguise.
If anyone can recognize a criminal, it's us.
落ち目の俳優にはめられ、クマ人生最大のピンチに。パディントン2